Welcome to the Be Amazing podcast. On this show, we'll give you the fuel you need through motivational pep talks, the fitness tips to be your healthiest self, fortitude to push through the hardships, and focus you need to build the skills needed for the next level, no matter what that looks like to you. I'm your host, Seal Smart. I'm a wife, a mom, community leader, and fitness professional of over 18 years. I'm here to be your biggest cheerleader, advocate, and connector. Let's be amazing together. It's time for another episode of the Be Amazing podcast, and this week my guest is Randi Halaway. She is a soul and business coach for women. There's only one thing that she loves more than her precious pop coda, and that's empowering female entrepreneurs to step into their expansive power and achieve the abundant, fulfilling life they deserve. This was such an inspiring conversation. Randi just radiates love and light, and that really was what most of the conversation was around. We talked about business. We talked about self-love and self-care and just the importance of taking time for ourselves. Well, I'm also excited to share with you that she has this incredible workshop coming up. It's a free workshop. It's virtual. It's on Monday, June 24th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which that would be 8 p.m. Eastern time. And it's called the Illuminated You Workshop. And what she's going to be teaching is letting go of limiting beliefs and stepping into your next level with unshakable confidence, connecting to your intuition and gaining clarity on what you truly want in your life, and activating the power of manifestation and create clear intentions for the rest of 2024. If this resonates with you, if this speaks to you, make sure you go to the link in show notes and click so you can sign up for this free workshop. Also be on the lookout for an email that'll be coming from me talking a little bit more about what Randi's doing and about this workshop, and you'll be able to sign up there as well. But for now, get ready for this inspiring conversation with Randi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Be Amazing podcast. And I am excited today because I have a guest and I'm going to call you a new friend.
Yeah.
And you're like across the country, which to me is like awesome. But I want to introduce Randi Halaway. And you're going to have to share this interesting fact about your last name when you get into talking about yourself, because I'm so fascinated with that. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Randi, and I am a self-love and business coach. I have been on my own journey of self-love for pretty much most of my life. I was a hairstylist for 17 years. I actually owned a salon in downtown San Diego for 5. I sold my business in 2017 and started following this passion of coaching women, helping them learn how to love themselves, step into their power, remember who they are. And then once they're more connected to their heart, what do you want to create from that place? Is it a business? Is it purpose? Is it relationship, health, whatever that is? So, my biggest message is helping people create from their heart, because I believe when you're creating from your heart, that truly anything is possible. So that's why I'm so passionate about that.
I love this so much because, we'll dive more into this because you are a business coach, but you're doing this whole self-love with that. And I think those are like having that self-love and showing up in businesses. So to me, it just is so important, because the more that you love yourself and the more confident you are, the more you're going to show up for your clients or for what you're doing. And I just think that's just an amazing take on it.
Yeah.
But let's go back a little bit. I would like to know a little bit more about you. So, you said you lived you're in San Diego now?
I live in San Diego. If we go back a little further, I was actually born in Canada. And my dad came here in the mid 80s, for a job, and that's what got us our green cards. And then I went back and forth a couple of times. We ended up in Colorado. We were in Hawaii. I ended up in Vegas for high school. And right before I was about to start high school, I had actually gone to 11 schools. So before 9th grade, I went to 11 schools. So childhood was a wild ride. And then got to Vegas, went to high school there, took a minute to kind of find my footing, but that's when I kind of started coming into my own a little bit more after high school. Went to hair school after that, had a whole other lifetime there. I was married in my early 20s. And then I think it was 2008, I came to San Diego on a trip after I'd been divorced and met someone in the Navy. And that sort of brought me to San Diego, which I'm so grateful for. It's been about 16 years now, and I can't imagine living anywhere else. Actually commuted for 8 years from San Diego to Las Vegas doing hair while I was opening my salon and doing hair here, which was kind of an adventure as well. So yeah, that's like a little bit more of the backstory of like how I got started and how I got to San Diego.
Yeah, and I think this whole thing with you being a hair salon owner and like obviously being in hair and all that, and now you're actually coaching people in business. Like, how did that? What was it that took you from being, from owning a salon? And I believe, and from what I understand and what I know about you, like it was successful. So it was like you go from that to like now I'm going to help people. So what was it? What is
Yeah, it's a
moment?
really good question. So going back a little bit to, my dad is a coach, trainer, teacher, author, speaker. So I've been in this space my entire life. And it was sort of always in my blood, I think, and my genes. And then same thing with being an entrepreneur. Like I used to beg my dad, like, can I do a lemonade stand this weekend? Can I do a wrapping paper thing this weekend? What can I do to make money? And I would play office with my friends. And there's pictures of me like I'd make a desk outside my room and my friend would be my secretary and I'd be like handing her papers and stuff. So I always had the business piece. Once I started doing hair, I naturally started coaching and, you know, helping my clients. And I did that for years and years and years. And when I opened my salon, I just naturally started creating coaching programs. So I had about 20 plus employees at any given time. It was a pretty big space. And I met with them every week. I helped them on all these different areas of building their business, growing their business, showing up, their client experience, all these things. But what I realized is like, I was always coming back to something they were going through personally. And whatever they were going through personally, I noticed was kind of reflecting on how they felt about themselves personally. So I just naturally started coaching people on how they felt about themselves. How could they love themselves more? How could they take care of themselves more? And that being sort of a path to having their outer world be, more what they wanted. And so at some point, probably like 3 years into owning my salon, I kind of was like, what am I really the most passionate about? I had done hair for so long and I was so passionate about that during that time in my career. I was very successful, very fast doing that. Kind of have a whole story there I could go into. And then when I opened my salon, also a very wild story about how that happened. I loved having my salon, but I realized at the core, what I was really the most passionate after I had like gone through those experiences was helping women really love themselves, helping them really learn how to remember who they truly are, step into their power, and then create from that place. So that's when I kind of realized I was like, I think it's time. And I also realized I had been doing it the whole time, but I had been kind of like sort of chasing everybody around. Like the clients would come in, they'd want my advice, but only when it made sense for them, right? There wasn't any accountability. Same thing with my employees. And I was like, what would it be like if I did this intentionally? And people actually wanted help and there was an exchange, right? They would give me money and there'd be accountability. And I was like, that's when it dropped in. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And so I put my salon on the market. I actually had a business coach at the time. She told me it's never going to sell. You're never going to make any money, la da da. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I know who I am. I know what this space is. And I just got clear on what I wanted. And within 2 months, I found these young gals who bought it for almost asking price and was able to release it and step into this new career, which I'm so grateful for every single part of my career. I wouldn't change any of it. But I truly feel just very connected and purposeful in the work I'm doing right now. So that's kind of like how it got there.
I love this. I can identify and it resonates with me because I feel the same way with what I've done in my career and all the steps that it takes to get there. And you're so thankful for like how life weaves, like how your path goes. And just going back to what you said when you were like, I had a business coach and they're telling me it's not a good idea. Like, don't do it. And then you're like, but you feel like you feel in your heart that this is what you're supposed to do. Like, was that really hard for you to take that step? And like, even though you may have, you obviously have a mentor and a coach that's guiding you and you're saying, but I feel this, like, what was it for you that you just were like, I've got to follow my intuition or what's going on in my heart to
Yeah,
move forward,
that's a great
regardless of
question.
what they're saying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So even when I got the salon, people were like, "You're crazy. What are you doing?" And I just felt it was like I talk about this a lot. I talk a lot about the ego and how the ego kind of can run the show for us. It tells us these stories like, don't do that thing that not everybody thinks you should do because you might fail or you might fall. And then I talk a lot about the other side is like your heart, your intuition, your power, that part of you who just knows, right? And so this is coming a lot from more fear on the ego side and lack. And over here, it's just more of a knowing. And I think that it's a process for us to discern between both of those. And it's a skill set. And over time, I have developed a skill set to trust my intuition more than my ego. But at that time, I mean, I was 31 when I opened my salon. I really didn't know. All I knew is this feeling inside was a yes. And there was no way I was walking away from the opportunity. And the same thing kind of happened when I sold the salon. There was a few different things going on. Now, to be clear, it did take me time. I was very invested in the salon. At one point, I was like very identified. I would meet somebody. I'm like, I'm Randi. I'm a salon owner. And so I had to pull myself out of that. I had to realize that I had gotten a little too deep into identifying in that. The more I did that work, the more that I let go. At the time, I was also getting engaged. I was like ready to start a family. I'll kind of tab that for a second because that kind of plays into what happened after. But I think I just knew it was time, and it was a trust. It was a level of like it's time to move forward. And I've also learned in life, like when you get those hits, if you ignore them, typically there's more pain associated. And so I just knew I could feel it in my body. There was a little bit of uncomfort, but it just felt time. I could just feel it. And it was a trusting. And so I had that year was pretty well. So I had gotten engaged in September of 2017. I sold my business in November of 2017. I then got married in March of 2018 and then actually got separated August of 2018 and was divorced by the end of the year. So all of that happened in a year's time. My whole world just sort of flipped. Which parts of that was the hardest time of my life, but it was also like the most it's like my heart got cracked open after that. And everything that I had understood intellectually started integrating because I was forced to start feeling, I was forced to slow down. I didn't have that busy salon anymore, which was a blessing. And my marriage, this is my second marriage now. I'm like 37 years old. I'm like, how did I get here? Talk about like it felt like a rock bottom for me, but that's where I'm like, okay, it's time to stop running. You've understood this work intellectually for so long. It's time to integrate and get in your body and start to feel. And that's when everything honestly started to change. It changed my whole life. And that's what really guided me to where I am today in the work that I teach. Everything that I teach now actually was sort of channeled through me through healing from my divorce and from that huge shift in my life. So I think I kind of got off topic on
No,
that story.
I'm just well, this
That
there's
answer your
so
question?
I was gonna say there's just so much here because
Yeah,
just
there's a
by
lot.
you talking and sharing, and I think that's the one thing about this podcast that is so important to me. And it was that same thing with intuition. No idea how to start a podcast. No
Yeah,
clue like how to do it. Googled how to, start it, record it, edit, all the things. And but it was really for me, it was like that thing that I needed to do because I had such a passion of sharing people's stories.
yeah.
Because I think that by hearing and listening to your story, like that inspires somebody else, that encourages somebody else that they're not alone. And that, like you said,
Yeah,
to go through to go through two divorces, that's a huge thing anyway, emotionally. And then also you're selling a salon. And I think the big thing that you said that I want to tap into a little bit more was you were talking about identity, because I think as women, people, we function off of a lot of times it's our careers, our identity, or we label ourselves. And so for you to talk about like having to free yourself of that,
yeah.
I just there's so much to me, there's just a lot just in that itself, letting go of like what I was known for. Like you said, I'm a salon owner. How many times do we walk in and say, my name is Seal and I'm fitness? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
This is who I am, and then you
yes.
realize, like, "Wait a second, that's not who I am. I'm so much more than what I do for a living or my career or who I'm in a relationship with or what my body looks like or any of those things." So, yeah,
How do
and
I was gonna say, so how do you what were some steps you took, just on letting go of identity? Like, what were some things that you feel like you took, or you could help somebody else that might be struggling with that, like just that identity, holding on to that and learning to let go?
So back then, I've always had a mentor, a coach. I've been on this path for like 20 plus years. Like I said, I've been doing this my whole life, but I really committed to it about 20 years ago. So I had a coach or mentor, programs, reading, those types of things. I don't believe we're meant to do this work alone. I think if you're hearing that in your mind, it's most likely your ego. So I had different things that I was practicing at that time. Now what I really come back to and teach is like understanding the difference between your mind and how it convinces you of things. Like if I'm not a salon owner anymore, then I'm not good enough. If I've been divorced twice, then I'm a failure and no one's ever going to want to be with me again. If I gain 5 pounds and something's wrong with me, and these are stories, these are things that get created in the mind to keep us kind of looping on this sort of hamster wheel that goes around and around and to kind of nowheresville. Like we just keep hitting the same wall. And what's going on from the mind's perspective is everything is outwardly. Again, as long as I look perfect, as long as I have the perfect partner, as long as I have the perfect career and the perfect status and all these likes on Instagram and all this money and all these things and all these things and da da da, right? Then I can be safe. Then I can breathe. Then I can finally be good enough. And what I realized, and this has been a long journey for me, but I was starting to realize it then, is that my happiness does not exist outside of me. It exists within inside of me. And ultimately, whatever's going on inside is a reflection of what's going on outside in your life. So that's when I kind of started to slow this thing down a little bit and be like, okay, maybe I need to pull out from this like attaching so much. And again, this has been a lifelong journey that I still navigate. And find that peace, that validation, that accomplishment within inside of myself. From my perspective, that is true freedom. There's no money or relationship or status that will ever give you that level of freedom because it's within inside yourself. It can never be taken away. And so that's when I started realizing that. And I'm like, okay, I've got to start working. So I just started gently doing that with myself, journaling, meditating, pulling out, finding other things I was passionate about, connecting more to my heart. But then, of course, there were still things that I was attaching to because then it was like, oh, now I'm going to go and get married. It was almost like I went from one addiction to the next as I got married really fast. There was enough information for me to know not to do it, but I did it anyway, right? So then that was the bigger lesson. I always wondered, like, am I going to regret selling the salon? I never did to this day. But what I didn't know is that I never regretted selling it. But what I didn't understand is that I was going to be hit with this feeling of what do I do with myself? So when you have this big career, when you have all these things going on, when you have everyone pulling on you, you become addicted to that because then you're always going and you never have to sit with yourself. So after I sold the salon, I never regretted it, but I was like, hello? like, so like literally, and I'm just building my coaching practice and I'm engaged and I'm writing on my list, like go to Target. Oh, go to Target again. Oh, organize your closet. Oh, go do what? This is uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll plan a wedding really quickly with a guy that I probably shouldn't be getting married to. That will do the job because I'm really good at planning. I'm really good at organizing. I've got this. It's my second time. It's going to be great. So, that's what I didn't expect was that feeling, but it was a gift because I needed to learn how to slow down, to get into my body, to remember that as humans, feeling our feelings is inevitable. And the more we run from them, the more we cause chaos in our life, the more we go into them, the freer we become. So that was part of what really freed me at that time. And it's a big part of what I teach people now is how to feel, how to free yourself from limiting beliefs and the meanings you've given to feelings, because feelings don't really have a meaning. They're just feelings. They come and they go, right? They always come and they always go, and that's never going to change. And it's the fighting it that creates all this pain within inside of us, what I call unnecessary pain. So, yeah.
Well, so let's talk about that, because with the whole slowing down part, like, and allowing yourself to feel, because you're right. I think I know for myself, my coping mechanism always was get busy. just get busy.
Yeah,
Go do for others, get involved in every committee, sign up for everything I could do possible, anything to avoid feeling anything. And
sitting
because I'm a
there,
very
yeah,
feeling person anyway, and I was like, I just can't take, like, I just can't sit in it. And so that's been something that I'm learning too, is about sitting in the pain and like feeling it and letting it just be. But
yeah.
like, how can you help, or how can you help us as far as like with the whole slowdown process? Like, are there things that we can start to do to help with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of my biggest foundational tools that I teach is what I call self-care, and not really getting your nails in, and massages, which are great as well. I love those, but this is like self-care time for you every single morning, taking time to sit down, to journal.
Thank you so much to Novice Studios for sponsoring the Be Amazing podcast. You might have noticed Be Amazing has a new look, new titles, and a YouTube channel. Kristen Stegall and her team helped me put a new look and strategy in place to take Be Amazing to the next level. If you want to launch a podcast, revamp your existing podcast, or hand off your production to an experienced team, schedule a call with Kristen at novicestudiosclt.com or head to the link in our show notes.
I know a lot of people that want to resist journaling. I did it for years. I like ran from my journal, and it was after my second divorce. I was like, all right, it's me and me here. What are we going to do? We got to start doing it. So I started journaling every day. And I started meditating. And that's when everything started coming through me. Because when you stop running from fear, when you stop running from your feelings, they stop chasing you. The big one. When you stop running from fear, when you stop running from your feelings, they stop chasing you. And when they stop chasing you, it's like, okay, there's nothing to actually be afraid of. And that's when you can start moving. That's when you can start releasing. The only reason why you're running and why you're doing and doing and doing and shooting and being and going is because you're afraid of something. But what you're afraid of is the illusion. The mind has created this illusion that if you stopped and you felt rejected, then you are rejected. If you stopped and felt alone, you are alone. If you stopped and felt like a failure, you are a failure. Nothing can be further from the truth. There's no meaning to feelings. They're just feelings, and they're not even personal, right? Even though I might feel like you're rejecting me right now, maybe you say, Randy, I don't want to talk to you ever again. That doesn't mean it's personal. It's not personal. And I might feel rejected, but that's my feeling of rejected. That has nothing really to do with you. You're just a reflection, which is why we have other humans in the world, why we have relationships, why we have connection, because we need the reflection to be able to see parts of ourselves that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to see. So, in order to get into that, we got to slow down enough. And I'm not saying if you've got a really busy life, I'm not saying you got to sit there for 8 hours and meditate. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what about 10 minutes? What about 10 minutes every morning? 5 minutes of journaling, 5 minutes of meditating, just to get in your body, to start to see, like, oh, yeah, okay, I can talk about my feelings. And I just say to people, write down, what am I feeling in the journal? And if you don't know, then write down, what if I did know? Right? Because you do know. It's just accessing it. And then after you get it out, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling annoyed. I can't believe Bob. Screw Sally. Da da da. Whatever. Get it out. We got to get it out of the body. And then write, what is true? What is true? And if you don't know, what if I did know? Practice that. It's going to help calm your nervous system. It's going to help you slow down. And then even a 3 to 5 minute meditation, breathe. Remember that it's like, oh yeah, like I can be in my body, I can slow down. Because what's happening, and I think people are starting to realize this more, this hustle mentality, this go, 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 it's like a badge of honor to work 16 hours a day. That's actually very, very harsh on our nervous systems. And it's not really working anymore. It's creating disease, it's creating pain for people. And so we really want to be focused on regulating the nervous system. So breathing deeper. And again, when you're journaling, you're probably going to be just slower. When you're meditating, you're going to be slower. So those are two small things that you can do. And it's really, again, it's not so much about how long you do them, it's about doing them consistently over time. I promise you, if you do it consistently over time, you will start to feel differently. So those are a couple things you can start to do for the process. And then if you want to go deeper, I highly recommend getting in a program or getting a coach or a mentor, or somebody who can hold that container for you, help you be more accountable to that process.
I love this because it's really simple, and it is like, the way you've positioned it, where it's like 5 minutes in my journal and 5 minutes meditating. And it's like, when you look at it that way, it is more doable. And I love that this is self care because that's a big topic. Health and fitness, we talk about self care, just like you said, whether it's like going for a walk or a massage or all the things. But the fact that this, I think, is like really, really important. I had a discussion last night and we were talking about self care and the different things, and it looks different for everyone. But I think this is something that, like, I think that we all should add into our
Yeah.
lives. Just because connecting with yourself and being able to, you know, be in tune with, if it's your mind talking to you, and I want to go back to that. Is your
Yeah.
mind what you consider ego, and then your heart is what you consider intuition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's a really good point. So you're creating in every single moment, every single one of us, whether you realize it or not. And if it's the first time you've heard that, I would suggest maybe write that down because you are creating in every single moment. And most of us don't realize that. And you're either creating from your ego, lack, fear, chaos, victim, drama, all of that, or you're creating from your heart, your intuition, love, ease, grace. It's one or the other at any moment, and it vacillates. Wherever you're creating from is going to determine your results. So ego-based creation equals ego-based results. Heart-based creation equals heart-based results. So if you kind of slow it down here for a second and you do the math, if I'm creating in every moment, I'm about to go into my day and I'm going to run into a bunch of people, I'm going to make a bunch of decisions, and they're either coming from my head or my heart. Would it benefit me to practice learning how to even catch when my ego is at play? Would it benefit me in doing something in the morning to set myself up for success so that I can even have a chance at catching it? Because here's the deal. If you check in right now and you ask yourself, am I coming from my head or my heart? And if you don't know the answer, it's your head. When you're in your heart, you will know. You will not need anyone's validation. You will not need anything outwardly. You will be like, boom, I got me. I know who I am. I'm powerful. Anything else is you're in your ego. And so the idea here is, if you really want to have a beautiful life, a lot of people say, I want a beautiful life. I want ease and I want flow and I want abundance and I want grace. Okay, cool. Where are you creating from? Because I hear you saying you want that, but then your results are chaotic and drama. And can you believe this happened to me and this happened to me and this happened to me? Again, nothing's wrong here. We're human. We're going to have that. We're going to have an ego. Ego's not going anywhere. It's just, what if you could learn how to discern between your head and your heart and be more in your heart in more moments throughout your day? How would that shift your life? How would that shift your results? And so I have found that the simplest practices done in the morning consistently, and then there's more we add on, check in throughout the day and evening, having, sessions and things like that. That's when literal miracles are possible. That's when infinite possibilities are possible, because you're more connected to your heart. Like I said at the beginning, when you're truly connected to your heart, you remember, like, wow, I am like powerful beyond measure. I'm not a victim. I have free will. If I don't like this person, I don't have to be with them anymore. If I don't like this situation, I can make a different choice. Anytime you feel, and I've heard this hundreds of times, I've been doing this for a really long time. No, you don't understand, Randy. I don't have any choice. I'm backed into a corner. No, you do. You just have to open the mind up more. Relax the mind, get more into your power. There's always, always, always another solution. I always say to my clients, if this was simple, what would you do? And what else is possible? And the second you get into what else is possible, what happens is you naturally take your power back. And then you're just like, maybe it takes a few minutes and it's like, oh, boom, boom, boom. So it's like going from, and I know not everyone can see me right now, but I kind of have my hands up against my face and I'm looking at like tunnel vision. Ego is more tunnel vision, like this, right? When we let the tunnel vision go, we let the mind go, it falls down. And all of a sudden I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all of these possibilities that are all around me at all times. And you can kind of do the math there and see the difference, and how you're even going to feel in your body, how you're going to feel about your life, how you're going to feel about your choices, right? So, and this is like a moment to moment check in with self. But in order to remember that, we have to be regulated and grounded in our body. Otherwise, the mind's like, okay, cool, I'm taking off. I'm going to lead today. And it's not trying to hurt us. It's actually trying to protect us. It's just there's a misunderstanding that it even needs to protect us in the first place. And so what we want to do is step in as more of the empowered leader and say, you know what? We're actually safe. You can go sit down. Thank you. But you can go sit down. I'm going to take it from here. So
This is a great conversation. Like, everything you're talking about, I feel like has kind of been my experience the past couple of months because I've had to let go of some people and let go of some things.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I'm telling you what, the difference, because there was some real fear in doing that. There was fear in walking away. There was fear in saying,
Yeah, of course.
this is not working. Like, because it's like I have been a people pleaser most of my life and have always revolved around, I lived in, if you want to say ego or in my mind, like fear based all the time, never good enough. I just need to get one more thing. I just need
Yeah,
to do one more thing
yeah,
before I'm at a good level. I'm just, it's always like reaching for this unattainable.
yeah.
And I finally like have gotten to a place where I've started to let go, and I'm by no means like a pro at this, but like just in the past probably, I don't know, 8 months I've let go, and I mean, you're right. It's like it drops and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, wow." Like, and things start shifting and happening, and even desires that are of my heart
Yeah,
start to happen, and it's
yeah,
like, holy cow, it was like I literally had to let go of all this other stuff so that I could actually
yeah,
see,
absolutely.
because you function in so much of the drama, like, you get caught up in all the drama and the negative, and, it has played such a role, I think, in blocking, I guess, like, kind
Yeah.
of blocking being able to hear my heart.
That's exactly what it does. If you're in your head, you're not going to be able to hear your heart, right? And from the head's perspective or the ego, it's never enough. So another reason you or another way you can kind of see is like think about your life, anyone listening, and it's like, okay, so you've obviously accomplished something in your life, and then what happened? Oh, you went to the next accomplishment, and then the next, and then the next. It was never enough. I want this amount, and I want more, and then I want more. I want the bigger ring, the bigger house, the better. Oh, I lost 5 pounds. I want more. That's ego because we're only promised this moment
Mhm.
today. Now, yes, I'm all about strategy and structure and manifestation and getting clear on your intentions. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we only have today anyway. So, what are you grateful for today? What do you love about yourself today? How can you get in your body today? Happiness, every single thing that we are all looking for, which is happiness, freedom, joy, love, only exists in this moment. The past is over. Say la vie, it's over. You're not getting it back. The future's not here. It's just not. You can try to get it here faster, but that's what causes more pain. So when we surrender and we get into our body and yes, we have intentions, we heal the past, we have intentions for the future, absolutely, but we focus on being present, being in our heart, being in our body, being grateful for what we have today. That's when magic happens. That's when things open up. And also, maybe you start to receive things that you didn't even know you wanted. Because if you're just creating from your head, it's limiting, like you said. So you're limiting your ability to create what you want. And there's so many facets to this. Partly we do that because we don't feel worthy of these big, beautiful things. So there's, work to do there too. And that can all be worked through. The good news is all this can be worked through when you're ready. And that's why, again, I'm so passionate about what I do is because this is what I help people do. Help people get out of that old chaotic cycle and get into their heart, their power, their intuition so they can truly create a present, beautiful life that's sustainable for them. Where you just get to breathe and be like, wow, my life is great. Yeah, I had a hiccup or I had a bump, but that's inevitable. I'll just navigate it and then I'll go back to having fun. Versus like, when's my life gonna be perfect? Well, I don't even know what perfect means. What does it even mean? There's no definition to it. It's a setup. Ego. So
Yeah, it's all the mind. It's all what we have built in our, I was thinking about it, it's like it's all what you build in your head. So when you let go of that, then you can really, almost like you could really see.
yeah, that's like a veil gets removed. But this is a constant because we have an ego and we'll always have one. Like I do this work every day. Everything I teach people, I practice every single day. And I will for the rest of my life. I'm committed to it. It's a lifestyle for me. It's a non-negotiable. Um, just like, it seems like you're really committed to like fitness and things. That's actually an area that I've had to work on more. And I've also realized over the years that like without movement, it helps the movement helps me get into my body and it's really important for regulating the nervous system too. So there's certain things that are just important for us to be doing to help our body. We only get one body in this lifetime at least. So usually as it starts to shut down, we're like, oh
Mhm.
shoot, maybe I should have treated it better. It's like, well, what if we just started treating it better now? And it doesn't have to be perfect, but like slowly take steps towards your well-being.
Yes, I'm so much about that, and you used my word. My word lately is like it's a non-negotiable. Like
Yeah.
it should be. Like I that's my big thing with women in particular, especially in business. It's like you have to take time to move your body. You need to move your body, whatever, and it looks different for everyone. So that and creating that space and time for that is also like to be in tune with your body, to listen. When we say listen to your body, it's this all goes hand in hand, but a lot of it's going to start with your mind and with loving yourself. Because if you love yourself, you're going to take the time to do that. You're going to take the time for self care.
Yeah,
Do you
and sometimes oh, go ahead, sorry.
know? Go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes, you gotta fake it till you make it a little bit. Like, you kinda sometimes what happens with people, it's like, they're just enough pain has happened, they're like, "I wanna love myself," and I'm like, "Okay, well, then you gotta just start doing these things anyway, and then you will get there to where you really feel it, because otherwise, if you keep waiting for the day you just wake up and you love yourself, you might not get there." The thing is, it's not learning how to love yourself isn't really something hard to do, it's a remembrance. You already love yourself, you just forgot. That's all that happened. And so, but all of these things help you remember who you really are. And then that's when you're like, oh, this is cool. So,
Yes, this conversation is everything. Like this is everything. This is like everything I've been like
yep.
in zone when I first got the email that we wanted to, we were going to do this podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I started learning about you, and I'm like, this is amazing because this is right where I have been. Like this is where I am, and this is a lot of what I do with training and with fitness and with what just that well-being is so like is everything for me, and it's no longer about aesthetics. It's not about like what you look. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with loving and appreciate who you are and the body you've been given, the person that you are. And so staying on this track with self-love and self-care, tell us a little bit. You've talked about you journal and all of that, but what other things do you do for you that you've worked yourself into? Like maybe it didn't start out that way, or maybe you started out with something, but like what are you doing now? Now that you've been on this journey for a while.
Yeah, so I journal every day. Now, to be fair, I've created a pretty free life for myself, so I have a lot of space. So I know I work with a lot of moms and a lot of people who have jobs and stuff. So I always am like, okay, listen, we're going to negotiate with your schedule. So if you've got a busy schedule, that's okay. I also help people like simplify their lives. Most people will come to me and they're so busy. And I'm like, cool, let me look at your to-do list and let's clean that up a little bit because most of that stuff on there probably doesn't even need to be on there. And we can be here. Here's what's coming through really strongly. When you take care of yourself first, you're going to be more efficient in every other area in your life. Some of your to-dos are taking so much longer because you haven't grounded first. And I'll say really quickly too, if you don't take care of you, who is? Who's taking care of you? Even if you have an amazing partner, if you have an amazing partner, it's not their job. And they're not, that's just not how it works. So if you're waiting for Prince Charming or Princess Charming to walk through the door, or a friend or a parent to save, I highly encourage to let that go and to start to be like, you know what, I got to choose me. So that was the first step for me is I had to start choosing me. So I journal every single day. Um, think about it as to like you wash your clothes, you wash your dishes, you wash your body. This is cleaning your emotional body. Your emotional body is technically probably more important than any of those other things because what's going on in your emotional body is going to affect how you respond or react outwardly to every person you encounter throughout your day, which is going to determine your results. If I go around and I'm yelling at everybody because I'm not cleaned up my emotional body, it's probably going to have some harsher results for me, right? So that's the piece there. Journaling, it gets you feeling, it gets you releasing. It get like so much magic can come through for journaling. I've journaled entire programs before just because I dropped in and it just started coming out. Meditating, like I said, stretching every single day is a non-negotiable. Breathing, doing like even if I'm just breathing in my meditation, but deeper breathing. I try to do that throughout the day too. I do a lot of vision work as well. So what I do with my clients is I help you get clear. We help remove all the blocks and get clear, connect to your heart and get clear on what you truly, truly want in your life. And then we create power statements and a vision for what that is. And so I'll visualize what that is. I do gratitude. There's a lot of, I kind of switch it up depending on the day, but again, it comes back to the consistency. When you do these things consistently, that's when you start to see results. So I have my morning routine that I do, and then of course I do my active things, whether that's a bar class or a walk or the gym. I check in throughout my day. How am I feeling? Am I breathing? In my head or my heart right now? What am I creating? I'm very aware of my trigger. So this is deeper work that I do with my one-on-one clients, understanding, am I triggered right now? This bringing up old trauma, right? And then I have a system that I actually channeled when I was going through my divorce, that I teach people on how to actually manage the mind, manage the feelings, and get back into your power. So it's like basically becoming a ninja at coaching yourself. So I'm constantly coaching myself throughout the day. Um, and then at night, I have a little bit of a ritual that I go through where I kind of cleanse my energy, do gratitude, set my intention for my sleeping time and dream space and all of that. So those are a lot of things that I do, but I've like taken time to work up to that. And that's what I sort of gradually teach a lot of my clients too, to make it so where it matches your schedule and what works for you, to get you to the point where like you crave it, you want it, because that's when magic really starts to happen in your life.
So I think because I love everything that you're saying, and I can see like how this is kind of, I want to say, stacked over the years, I'm sure. And you started with one thing, and I love that you just keep going back to journal, like journaling, start
My
there.
favorite tool. It's my favorite tool.
So I think that's something very simple and that we can all do.
Yeah.
And do you,
And I
is there a
yeah,
recommendation on like, do you think that writing it out, typing it out, like notes
I
on your
I
phone, like
think
what is it
writing
that
is more
works?
powerful. Like, listen, if someone says, "Okay, fine, I'll do it," I'm gonna type. I'm not gonna argue with them. Like, I just want you to do it, right? Because I know the value. I personally think writing is more powerful because it's another, like, you're moving your hand, you're moving your body. It's like helping release. So I have journals that I love. I actually have a shop on my website. All my favorite journals are on there. I also have free resources in my Instagram bio that have free journal prompts, free meditations, things like that. I actually have a monthly membership, and one of the things I do is every day you get an email with an affirmation, a journal prompt. There's mantras in there, reminders, all those types of things too, to help keep people accountable on that. But if you can just get a journal and write as you feel, like, in every morning, and then as things come up, I believe that's like the most powerful way. But if using your phone is what you've got, absolutely fine.
I think this, to me, this has been like such a there's just a lot in this conversation today, and there's so much more because I
Yeah,
want to bring
we
you
keep
back.
going. I know.
I want to bring you back, and I want, like, there's more to dive into. But I want to know, like, is there anything else? We've really talked about self-love. And again, this to me is like just such an important thing that needs to be shared and needs to be, people need to be reminded constantly to love themselves and to know, and the how to, because I think that's where people stumble. It's like, well, how do I do that? And you've given us a really simple way to start. What else? Do you have anything else on your heart that you wanna share right now before we go?
Yeah, I'll just say this, whatever it is that you might be going through, whatever it is that might be happening in your life outwardly that might feel hard, I would just encourage you to remember that no matter what is going on outwardly, if you just take a moment, take 4 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your nose, put your hands on your heart and ask, please help me remember who I am. In those moments, this is when you get to remember that you are safe, you are loved, you are worthy, you are enough, that you are supported in every single way, and that every single thing that is happening to you, whether it feels good or not, is happening for you. And, you know, it's not about what's going on outwardly in your life. This is fact. This is what's really true. No matter who is or isn't in your life, who is or isn't responding to you, who is or is doesn't want to be with you or be friends with you or work with you, it doesn't matter. Coming back to this truth that I just shared is your biggest, deepest freedom that you will ever feel in your life. And it's just a simple remembrance, which is such a beautiful thing. So I'd love to just share that.
Yeah, so beautiful. Like, it touches my heart because, like I told you, like, I didn't know. I'm gonna tear up a little bit. I didn't know that the conversation with you would be so personal. So thank you for sharing.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, like this just goes to show that like when you when you shut the door on some things, other things open. And even in relationships, or if you're in the middle of like contemplating, like you said, like if you're shutting something, you're having to cut something off or walk away from something, there's something so much greater. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm functioning in such, these are not tears of sadness. This is just like that emotional, like I have let go, and I am in just seeing like the doors are opening and people that are coming into my life now, just this conversation alone,
Yeah, girl.
are people that are bringing that energy that I not only do I want to give out, but I want to receive. And so thank you for sharing that. Like this has been a beautiful conversation. And I mean, I'm so looking forward to dropping it. And we're gonna drop it before your workshop. So I want you to share with them like what's coming up and how to connect with you, because this really has been such a powerful conversation.
So much. I really appreciate you saying that. I have chills as you're speaking. So really grateful to be here as well. And yeah, I have a free workshop that's coming up. And basically, I'm going to talk more about what we just talked about. I'm going to um, help people learn how to let go of those limiting beliefs and step more into that next level self, step into the confidence that's within. I know a lot of times we're looking for the confidence outwardly, but again, it's already here. I'm going to help you connect more to your intuition and gain clarity on what it is that you really want. Again, a lot of times we're creating and it's like up more from the head. So let's get to what you really want in your life, if anything was possible, which it is when you create from your heart. And then we're going to kind of tap into the power of manifestation. And I'm going to help everybody create clear intentions for the rest of 2024, so you can walk into the rest of the year with, power and confidence and intention. It's always like a ton of fun. We have prizes. Like it's just a really great experience. It's free to sign up. If this is interesting to you at all, come hang out with us. If you want to invite a friend, the more the merrier. And I'd love to be able to connect with everybody.
I think that's awesome. Where can they find you on Instagram? Like where are all the social media channels and your website and all of that?
Yeah, so everything's my name across the board. It's Randi, Randi, which is kind of was a unique name to have in the early 80s. And then it's Halaway, which is also unique because it's spelled Halaway, Halaway. My parents actually like made that name. They put it together with two different names. So my website is randyhalaway.com. My Instagram is Randi Halaway. My Facebook is Randi Halaway. TikTok, Randi Halaway. My email is randy@randyhalaway.com. So yeah, here for anyone who wants to connect. And like I
Oh,
said, I have some free resources in my Instagram bio. You click there. There's even a dating resource. I have a dating program as well. So there's some fun stuff in there if you guys want to check it out. And I'd love to connect if anyone wants to send a message or has a question as well.
yeah, I love, we might have to do that. We might have to do like a whole like maybe even do it live and have a Q&A. Something fun like that would be just awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I think it would
I
be so
love
much
doing
fun.
that. Yeah,
So we're
I
going
would.
to talk about that. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that offline.
I would
But
love to.
I just want to say thank you again so much for taking the time today. This has been such a heartful, like sincere, heart, soul, like amazing conversation. Again, cannot wait to share your episode. But so appreciate you taking the time and being so open, and just like you've touched my heart. So thank you.
So happy. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for that.
And we'll talk soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to the Be Amazing podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please send it to someone who inspires you so they can feel amazing too. If you want to help us reach new listeners, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, you can find the video versions of our episodes on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at the Be Amazing Podcast or DM me at Seal Smart. I'll see you in the next episode.